Glad you keep turning back in. I know there's not very many out there that tune in, but this is a great experience for me to write these things for anybody who'll listen. Today's September 18th, and Ezra 1 through 3 is our scripture. I've entitled this, What Time I'm Afraid, I'll Trust in You. Our focus scripture is Ezra 3:3. Despite their fear of the people around them, they built the altar on its foundations and sacrificed burnt offerings to the Lord, both morning and evening sacrifices. King Cyrus had provided everything the Jewish remnant needed to rebuild the temple of the Lord in Jerusalem. God had provided for their safe travel and all the provisions for doing the work that God had called them to. Many people use fear as an excuse not to obey God. The cost is too great, the danger is too high, the risk is more than I can handle. All these are reasons, or excuses, they're not reasons. Consider how the remnant Jews handled their fears. The remnant Jews knew the risk and the dangers. They saw the fear of their enemies all the way from Persia to Jerusalem. Their travel back to Jerusalem was lined with miles and miles of dangerous, treacherous highways. When they arrived back in Jerusalem, they didn't find a safe place there either. Their enemies worked tirelessly to get them to stop the work. Consider how they obeyed God in this circumstance of fear and trembling from the enemy. Despite their fear, they obeyed God anyway. Our obedience is often like this. God calls you to follow him, and you know the cost, but you obey anyway because he promises to be with you. So the remnant began the project of rebuilding the temple despite the fear of their enemies. What step of faith is God calling you to take today? Is the way lined with difficulties and hardships? Then you know it's from God, so you should take this next step. The Christian life is not a life of ease and pleasure, sipping wine or eating chocolates. The way to the kingdom is lined with tribulation and afflictions, and only a few will ever choose to endure it. God's promised that as we obey, he will perfect that which concerns us. As you follow him, he will see you have what you need to do what he commanded. God, help us as we walk through the valley of the shadow of death to fear no evil, because you're there with us.